on audio.
Awesome. Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of DG Weekly Live. This week we're going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite discs, one of my favorite discs in the entire Dynamic Discs Latitude 64 and Westside Discs lineup, and that's going to be the Warden. I don't want to get into it too much yet, but the Warden is kind of a straight flying beadless putter. I don't actually throw the Warden, I strictly use it for putts. For my throwing grip, it's a little bit deeper than I like for the feel. I like a little bit shallower putter, but for my putting grip, which is just a fairly typical fan grip, it's perfect. It's got a nice rounded edge and fits super comfortably. But if you have any questions about the Warden or what plastics it might come in or anything like that regarding the Warden, leave those in the comments down below and we will, I have Bobby behind the camera, he will relay those over to me and we will get those answered for you. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time on the Dynamic Discs Facebook page, we go live and we talk about a new disc every week. So if you want to come hang out, talk about some Frisbees, head over there. Wednesdays, every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Central Time. Do we have any questions early, Bobby, or should we just jump into it?
Let me double check for you.
All right, we're just checking on questions really quick.
Randall wants you to send all the Moonshine Wardens to him.
Randall, you got it, dude. All the Moonshine Wardens are coming to you. My fingers were crossed, so I'm sorry. You're actually, I can't do that. I don't think we have any stock stamp, but I know it's a tournament fundraiser disc. So they might be on the website. If not, if there's a tournament in your local area or something like that coming up, hit up the tournament director and see if they can order some of those to raise funds for the tournament. And that's how you can get yourself a Moonshine Warden. I've heard those fly super nice. I haven't actually got to throw one myself yet. Do we have any other questions? Early bird gets the worm, or in this case, early bird gets their question answered.
Currently, but I'm looking to transition to a new putter to be Trilogy.
Okay.
As my form improves, I feel the need to get a smaller rim putter for the more spin. Is Warden good? Or should I get a more shallow rim?
So someone said that they currently putt with the Warlock and they're looking for something with a little bit more shallow rim and they're wondering if the Warden would do that. I actually don't know what the Warlock is. I think it's a gateway putter, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't actually thrown one to tell you for sure. But I would not call the Warden a shallow disc. I wouldn't call it super deep either. It's kind of a fairly typical putter depth. If you're looking for something more shallow, I would recommend either the Pure or the Mercy from Latitude 64, as well as from us at Dynamic Discs, the Deputy is a very nice shallow putter. It's going to be a little bit more on the understable side than the Warden, but it's going to have that really nice feel. And if you want something from Westside, the Maiden from the 2018 Trilogy Challenges, which started last weekend, is a really nice, super straight, shallow putter. So I would definitely look into those. The Warden's a great putter, but if you're specifically looking for shallow, I think the Warden might be a little bit deeper than you're expecting or wanting.
A lot of people are confirming the Warlock is like the Warden. One guy even said
Okay.
he compared it to the Deputy.
Okay.
He said it's a beadless, shallow rim.
Okay, so then yeah, if it's people are saying it's similar to the Deputy, if it is like that, then I would say the Warden is a little bit deeper, and definitely check out the Deputy or even maybe the Swan from Westside as well, if you're looking for that similar kind of slightly understable, shallow putter. The Warden is
a question just in.
Okay.
Jolly Duckster wants to know what that black thing is on your shirt.
Jolly Duckster, it's actually a bug. I'm really into like insects and bugs like that, so I just let them crawl on me. No, that's how you hear me, Doug. It's a little microphone. We're upping the production value over here. This isn't a joke. But thank you, Doug, for coming out and watching. Even though I did sort of, in a sense, replace your daughter with this, but when she comes back, I'll let her stand right next to me and we could do a side by side. So no, good luck to Paige. She's out on tour. I think she's playing Beaver State next weekend. So obviously, best of luck to her. We hope she does super well, even if she doesn't throw Wardens. So maybe we can work on that when she gets back.
Khan wants to know, do you drive with your premium plastic Wardens?
Do I drive with a premium plastic Warden, Ron? No, I don't. I actually don't drive with a Warden hardly at all. I do, however, and I know Ron is going to love this, I do, however, drive with the Suspect all of the time. And for that, I have different but similar shots. The Fusion holds straighter a little bit longer. So I do drive with premium plastic putters. I know the Suspect isn't exactly a putter, but I do use premium plastic slower discs, but just not the Warden. Like I said in the beginning, the Warden's a little bit deeper than I prefer for a throwing putter. I like something a little bit more shallow, which is why I use the Suspect for that shot. And if you are just joining, again, if you have a comment or a question, leave that down in the comments below regarding the Warden. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you are watching this after the fact on YouTube, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Central Time, we go live on the Dynamic Discs Facebook page. We talk about a new disc every week, so if you want to come hang out and get some questions answered about whatever that disc is that week or suggest something for the next week, head over there Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Central Time. Do you have any other questions, Bobby, or should I show off this multitude of plastics that this disc is available in? All right, so first up is the Prime Burst Warden. I don't think these are on the website as of yet, but I was talking to our listing guy and he said he's working on it, so check back maybe later today or maybe tomorrow. These are actually what I putt with, the Prime Wardens. For me, they just seem to hold straighter longer. I like the feel of the Classic and the Classic Blend, and the flexibility is kind of right in between those two, but the Prime seems to just hold straighter a little bit longer. Speaking of the Classic and the Classic Blend, there are quite a few. As you can see, I have 6 here, different versions of base plastic Wardens. So starting off, we have the regular Classic Blend. This is going to be kind of in between the stiffness of the hard or the regular Classic and the soft. It's kind of a fairly gummy plastic, but it seems to be a little bit more stable or overstable than other plastics like the Prime that we just talked about. Here's another super pretty blend Warden. And then we've also got the soft Warden, a Classic soft Warden. To me, it seems that the softer the plastics go, the more stability it adds. So the soft Warden I would expect to be the most stable of the Classic plastic Wardens. We also have these, I believe, are Prime as well. Yes, these are Prime Burst with the in-flight stamp, it's called. You can kind of see that there. We have it on some hats as well. Really, really cool stamp. I like that one a lot. Kind of looks like the logo is zooming in onto the disc there. And then we have, this is called the Stack plastic, or excuse me, no, it's the Classic Blend plastic. It is the Stack logo or the Stack stamp. And last but certainly not least, we have just the regular Classic Hard Warden. This is a very, very straight Warden. If I were to drive with the Warden, I do have a Classic one that I like to throw sometimes, and this is the one that I would drive with if I were to throw the Warden. We also have some super cool hand-eye stamp Wardens. These are both, let's see, these are both soft Wardens, and so if you want a hand-eye Warden, super cool hand-eye soft Warden. Like I said earlier, the soft is a little bit more stability than the rest of them. And now these ones, really, really cool. They are a lucid metal flake Warden. I haven't seen discs with this much metal flake in them. It's almost opaque that there's so much in there. So much of the metal flake in there. Super nice, and these ones are super straight, I've heard. Also recently released, we have the Fusion Burst Warden. The Fusion Warden has been available as part of the tournament fundraiser program for a super, super long time. It's been available like that for a very long time, but just as of a couple weeks ago, we released it in the regular stock stamp Fusion plastic, and now it's got some super nice burst. And last, but absolutely not least, everyone's favorite, the Waffle Man himself, AJ Risley, with the Tour Series fundraiser Hybrid Wardens. These are really, really good. Ron Kahn earlier was asking about driving with the premium plastic Warden. This is the one to start with for sure. If you're going to throw a premium plastic Warden, the Hybrid Wardens are the way to go. And you get to support AJ Risley, who's one of the best guys out there. Do we have any questions about the different plastic types yet, Bobby? There's a lot, so I know if it's overwhelming, I'm sorry. It's just about every single plastic that we have the Warden in.
What is your website name? Steve Nelson wants to know.
Steve Nelson wants to know the website name. It is dynamicdiscs.com. That's it, just the name of the company, .com, and that's where you can find all of our discs. Obviously, you can find all of these Wardens available, plus everything that you can see behind me and over on that wall and on the wall behind you guys that you can't see. Plenty discs there, plenty of just every disc golf need, we've got it there. So if you're looking for any sort of disc golf gear, dynamicdiscs.com for sure.
Deputy versus Maiden. I guess it's off topic, but Deputy versus Maiden.
A little bit off topic with this one. We have someone asking about the Deputy versus the Maiden. Both are low profile putters, but the Maiden is very, very straight. It wants to hold straight, and it's very true to the angle that you throw it on. So if you throw it with a hyzer, it's going to hold that hyzer. If you throw it on a turnover, it's going to hold that turnover. Where the Deputy is also low profile, but it's very understable. So if you throw it with a hyzer, it's going to flip and turn over a little bit. If you're looking for one to throw, I would recommend the Maiden, and if you're looking for one to putt with, I would recommend the Deputy. The Deputy is going to stay straighter on the putts, where the Maiden, excuse me, I almost said Warden, the Maiden's going to stay straighter on those long throws.
How many DD polos do you have?
How many DD polos do I have? Well, that depends. If you're asking me, not enough. If you're asking my mom or my girlfriend, way too many. So we're just gonna kind of skip that one because that's one I don't need to out myself here, but I have enough. I have enough polos.
All right, you want to show the clip of Danny?
Sure. Is this so? We're
the drive.
Okay. We're going to cut to a drive. Danny Lindahl has some clips of him throwing the Warden. He actually bags it as a throwing putter, so we're going to jump over to those real quick. This is going to be him throwing.
I don't know how the audio works, so bear with us.
Okay.
We figure out. I don't know if you can talk over it.
Bobby is telling me right now that we're not sure how the audio works, so you may lose me here while we watch these clips. If we do, Bobby will let me know, and I'll kind of recap it quick. May lose me here while we watch these clips. If we do, Bobby will let me know, and I'll kind of recap it quick. And high, nice and flat and straight, and just leave himself with not too much of a putt. Oh no! The dot's still on.
No, you're there.
Oh.
There just is absolutely no audio.
No audio. Okay. Zip.
Okay, I think audio's back.
We got audio back. Okay, so it sounds like you can't hear me over the clips, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. We can work with it. So did they see the clip at least that went through? Okay, so now you see.
So.
Okay, so you should have seen the clip. It's kind of a work in progress. Our apologies. But that's Danny Lindahl throwing the Warden. Most of you probably know who he is. If you don't, he's another part of our media team, and he's also a sponsored player on Team Dynamic Discs. And he throws the Warden as an actual disc in his bag, so that's why we had him throw it. Very, very straight. Tons and tons of glide on the Warden as well. And I do think we have another clip, Bobby, of Danny throwing it. This is going to be more of an upshot for Danny.
Here we go. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Okay. So there you could see Danny was dealing with a lot of wind that day, and it looked kind of like a left to right tailwind, so it was pushing the disc, but you could see it still had the stability to fight out at the end, and in the beginning of its flight, it didn't get pushed by the wind. It held a very straight line, and it actually went past the basket. He threw that one a little too far because he's just super good at disc golf and throws really far. But the wind didn't push it over, and it didn't stop it from fading out as well. So for a stable, straight disc, however you like to describe it, it handles wind really well. It doesn't get flipped over, and it almost like the wind doesn't affect it as much as you're expecting. I wouldn't throw it in headwinds or like super strong winds, but if you just need a nice, easy approach shot, the Warden is a really, really great disc for that.
Do you know what the weight was that Danny threw?
The weight on that one, I do not know. I believe Danny likes to throw closer to max weight, so I would assume anywhere from 173 to 175. I believe max weight on the Warden is 175, so anywhere in that range. I typically don't notice a whole lot of difference in the flight unless you get to 5 or 6 gram difference, and come to think of it, I don't think I've seen a Warden lower than 170 grams. So that's not something I ever really check. Unless it's a putting putter, I like my putters to be 171 or 172. That's just kind of a mental thing. But as far as throwing putters, I don't really notice much difference, and I've only seen 170 to 175. Do we have any more questions, Bobby?
No, but we have a hello from a dad.
Oh. hello to Dad. Surprised that it's my dad. Usually my mom is the one that tunes in for these, but what's up, Dad? How you doing up in, I think he's in Minnesota right now.
No other questions?
No more questions? Okay, I will quickly, well, as quickly as I can, recap all the plastics because it's just about all of them. Starting off with what's in my hand, we have the Hybrid Warden, which is an AJ Risley Tour Series fundraiser. It's a fantastic disc. AJ's a really good guy. So if you're just looking for a good thrower or you're looking to help out AJ, I would highly suggest picking one of these things up. AJ has been doing a ton of work out on tour this year. He's been grinding like nobody's business, and he's been doing really, really well. So we like supporting him as much as possible. Also in the premium plastics, we have the brand new, not quite brand new, but within the last couple of weeks, Fusion Burst Warden. The Fusion Warden has been a sought-after disc, and it's been part of the Tour Fundraiser series for a long time. And as of just a couple of weeks ago, we released it as a stock stamp in the Fusion plastic with that super, super cool burst. And before I move on to the next one, quickly, if you do have any last-minute questions, get those in the comments really quick. And once we're done with these, we will get over to those. We also have the Lucid Metal Flake.
I got a question.
Oh, we do have a question. Excuse me.
Josh wants to know, love the Warden flight, but always struggling with how to grip it. How do you like to grip the Warden?
So Josh says he's loving the flight of the Warden, but struggling with gripping it. And that's actually the same problem that I have with the Warden as well. I use the Warden as a putter, and so my putting grip, I'll cut to this camera over here, is actually kind of a typical fan grip that you see most people putting with. You can kind of see it's just fingers spread out on the rim, my index finger just gently bent over the bottom of the disc. That's what's comfortable for me. That's where the disc fits well in my hand. And for a throwing grip, I like all my putters to be with just a stacked grip, not too firm, not too soft. Just get your fingers in there, get the disc secure so it's not going to come out, but you don't need to really grip it and flex the disc a lot. That's what's comfortable for me. But like I've said earlier, the Warden is a little bit deeper than I prefer for a driving putter, which is why I go to something like the Suspect, something that's a little bit more shallow. If you're looking for something like the Warden in flight, I would highly recommend checking out a Trilogy Challenge in your area. The Maiden is very, very similar to the flight of the Warden, but it's a much more shallow profile. So that's probably going to be making my bag for sure.
Les Bergman asks, standstill only or jumper too?
Was it Wes that asked that?
Les Bergsman.
Les Bergsman was asking if I use it for standstill putts only or also jumpers. I use the Warden for all of my putts. I carry two in my bag. One of them is kind of a go-to for inside, probably 45 feet. And then I do have another one that is a little bit less beat up that I like for those longer jump putts. I know most people usually like a less stable disc for that, but the way that I do my jump putts, I like to aim a little bit higher and to the right so I can trust that it's still not as beat up. It still has that stability and it's going to finish back into the basket on those longer putts. So yeah, I use it for any and all putts for sure. Really, anything inside probably 100 feet, I'm going to use a Warden almost every time. As far as some other plastics, we do have two in the Classic Soft with the hand-eye stamp on it. Super cool. Crispin Carrasco is the graphic designer and the madman, if you will, behind Hand-Eye Supply. Comes out with some really, really cool logos, and it's on a really nice disc. And we also have, like I said, guys, it's on just about everything. We have it in the Classic plastic. This is the Classic Hard. It's a very stiff plastic. Got some super nice, almost like a sunrise burst in there. Also, we'll stick with the Classic. We have a Classic Blend Warden. This one actually is kind of like the one, speaking of AJ Risley just a second ago, he putts with the Classic Blend Warden, and this kind of almost looks like his, so I'm sure if he saw this, this would be one he wanted to pick up. This is just another Classic Blend Warden, kind of showing off the burst, really, really pretty. And then again, just a stock stamp of the Classic Soft. This is the same as those Hand-Eye Supply stamp Wardens, but just in the stock stamp. And then we do also have, this one is called our in-flight logo. You can see it kind of looks like the DD logo is flying in on the disc. Really, really cool. I like this one a lot. We do also have this on some hats as well as, I believe, some shirts. So that's a very cool logo. And last on the Classic Blend, we have the stacked logo. This one is just kind of the regular Dynamic Discs logo outlined, and you can see there's some discs stacked underneath it. And last but not least, this is the one Les was asking about my putts. This is the one that I putt with. This is the Prime Burst Warden. This is the one that I seem to get the straightest flights out of and get the most consistent straight flights with lots and lots of glide. So do we have any more questions, Bobby? Any last minute?
I use a Challenger by Discraft. What is DD's disc most like the structure of the Challenger?
Okay, so someone says they use the Challenger by Discraft, and they're wondering what's most similar to that. I believe, or they're asking what's most similar from Dynamic Discs. I believe the Challenger is kind of a straight to slightly overstable with a little bit of a bead putter. So for that, I would say the Marshall. But I do know Eric McCabe used to putt with Challengers when he was sponsored by Discraft, and he switched to the Judge. So I would suggest either the Marshall or the Judge. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the Challenger, so I would kind of lean towards the Judge actually and trust Eric on that one. But either the Marshall or the Challenger would be the way to go on that one.
I'm going to try Danny's clip again.
Okay, we're going to run back Danny Lindahl's clips again.
Drive.
Okay, this is going to be the drive, and we're going to see if you can hear me on this one again. All right, so Danny Lindahl, actually in that clip, I believe, if I know Danny's bag correctly, I believe he was throwing one of these Lucid Metal Flake Wardens. I know he has a couple of these and absolutely loves them. He likes them for really anything that he doesn't want to flip over and he doesn't want to dump out at the end, probably inside 280 to 300 feet. He throws these things really, really well, really straight lines, really, really good flying disc. Any other last minute questions? If you have them, get them in quick, or come back next week if you're not watching this live, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook after the fact.
Eric asks, I throw an old beat-up Warden. Is the Maiden going to be similar to a beat-up Warden?
Okay, so Eric says he throws an old beat-up Warden, and he's wondering if the Maiden, which is part of the 2018 Trilogy Challenge, is going to be similar to that in flight. I think the Maiden starts out very similar to a fresh Warden, maybe even a touch more stability. And so I would say if you're looking to replace that beat-up Warden flight, I would recommend looking into something like a Deputy. That's going to be very similar. It's going to have that kind of nice, slow hyzer flip and turning flight, where the Maiden is going to be a very, very straight, more similar to a fresh Warden.
Someone had a question, I lost it.
We lost a question, so if that was yours, sorry, we're looking.
How did you learn to spin that disc?
How did I learn to spin a disc? Okay, before I worked at Dynamic Discs, I used to work at a retail store, kind of like the one that we're filming in. And on days when it wasn't busy, I would watch disc golf videos, and I remember watching some old Will Schustrick video, and in the intro to that video, he was spinning the disc on his hand. And I was like, that's so cool, I wish I could do that. And then I was like, you know what? I don't really have anything to do right now, so I'm going to try it. And so I just did this, and I threw discs all over, and I hit myself in the face a whole bunch of times. And then after like a day or two, I just was like, oh, wait, it's spinning. So I just did it. I don't really know. I just tried for a long time, and eventually it started working. We do have a question coming in.
Wants to know, do we still have the fruity Wardens?
Les, the scented Wardens, I haven't seen those in a long time, dude. I'm sorry. I haven't heard if they're officially out of production, but I haven't seen them in a really long time, so I would guess they are, unfortunately.
And we have a lady by the name of Ellen who is heckling you.
Yes, sorry, everyone. That would be my sister. Thank you, Ellen, for the
Ellen, you don't have to
compliment.
apologize at all.
Bobby says you don't have to apologize.
I like reading all your comments.
Bobby is getting a kick out of it. I'm sure I will after, and hopefully everyone else is as well. Yeah, she likes to do that. She's an older sister for sure.
Looks like that's
Any last minute questions? It doesn't sound like it. So the Warden, I just realized I didn't even tell you guys the flight numbers. It is a speed 2, glide 4, turn of 0, and a fade of 0.5. So you can tell just by those numbers, fairly slow flying disc. It says a 4 glide. I think it glides really well. So I would put it a little bit higher than that. But the turn is 0, which I totally agree with, and the fade is a 0.5. Again, hit the nail on the head. Very straight, not going to flip over, and it's not going to dump out either. It's just going to have a nice, gentle, subtle little fade at the end of the flight. So thank you everyone for tuning in to this second episode of DG Weekly Live. Once again, if you are just joining us, we do these every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time on the Dynamic Discs Facebook page. And the same information applies to those of you watching after the fact on YouTube as well. 4 p.m. Central Time, Dynamic Discs on Facebook, and we will see you guys next week.